In the room with the long, sloppy-looking untucked shirt, untuckit.com, code HERD, 20% off. GQ calls him perfection, untuckit.com, code HERD. By the way, I'm watching that Cowboy-Jacksonville game last night, and I honestly believe what I'm about to say is that you can't lie to players. Like, players know who can play, and players know who can't play. If you're trying to convince all those Jacksonville Jaguar defensive players that Blake Bortles is taking you anywhere, you're kidding yourself. There's not a coach on that staff in Jacksonville. There's not a player in that locker room that watches Brady and Mahomes and the young guys like Darnold and Breeze, and Ben and Luck and Deshaun Watson and, oh, yeah, Blake Bortles will get us there. You can't keep selling me a $5 steak and charging me $50. Okay, Blake Bortles is average. I think his last 35 games on the road, he's like 9-26. It's terrible. You give him any stress. If he's trailing in a game, he's done. I'm watching Jacksonville last night. They fall behind in that game, and I'm not kidding you. The defensive effort cratered. Like I've heard this before, that defensive players play harder when they feel like, listen, if we can give our quarterback one more chance, the better the quarterback, the better the defensive effort late in games, because your team feels like, hey, give our guy 2 minutes. Give Tom Brady 2 minutes. We can win. Jacksonville looked like to me when they got in a hole last night, like Jalen Ramsey at one point didn't even tackle a guy going into the end zone. Like, it felt like they quit. I mean, seriously, there was some quit on that team. Nobody buys Bortles. Like, nobody is buying it. Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Turn on the news.
This is the Herd Line News.
So it was a wild weekend in college football. Top 10 teams outscored their opponents by an average of just 1.5 points.
Wow.
And contenders like Georgia, West Virginia, Washington, and Penn State all lost Saturday.
Yep.
Which prompted a shakeup in the rankings. The Bulldogs fell from 2 to 8. The Mountaineers fell from 6 to 13. Huskies fell from 7 to 15.
There's Notre Dame 4, Michigan 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought Jim Harbaugh couldn't coach.
Fell from 8 to 18.
Can I just give Harbaugh a little credit?
Yes, you may.
Joy, in college football, a 30-year schedule is dictated by the coach. The coach can sign off or not. Nick Saban will not go on the road out of conference. He'll play tough road games. So when he loses at Notre Dame in week 1 by a touchdown, Notre Dame appears to be an excellent team, you can't bury Harbaugh in Michigan. Let's give credit to guys like Texas and USC and Michigan and Notre Dame and Wisconsin historically that are willing to play tough out-of-conference games and reward us fans in September.
With good games.
Alabama's student section's not even full anymore because they're over it.
Who are they playing, Panera Bread?
I mean, it's like 3 times a year they're playing a truck stop. Like, stop it. Go to Wisconsin. Notre Dame should be going to Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio State every year. By the way, if you lose, so what? Win the next 11. You always do anyway.
Right. So Kirk Cousins' pregame speeches have been getting a lot of hype lately.
Yeah.
Let's take a little look at his latest one.
I got a question for you. How did you feel after last week's victory, man? Oh, great, right? That's because it was earned, man. Nothing in this league is free. Nothing to give. You can't just roll your helmet out there and play. You got to go out there every play and earn it. And you got to take it, man. You got to take it defense. I've been a rookie quarterback before. You can suffocate him. You can suffocate him. Make him miserable all game long. Get us the ball back.
I love that. I love that. That's my favorite Kirk Cousins moment ever. I thought that was great.
He's
Yeah.
so funny. I love it when the voice cracks.
I thought that was great.
It's funny.
Come on now, that was good. Andy Dalton's
it's good.
like, all right, Cub Scout, I'm 3.
Andy Dalton pregame speeches, no disrespect, all-time worst. All-time worst.
I thought that was great. Listen, Kirk's he doesn't have the Aaron Rodgers arm, the Cam Newton size, but you know what? I'd want to play for that guy.
He's got that. He's got the fire.
I like that a lot.
He's a dude. All right, so finally, this is a little bit of breaking news. Last night's game was a fun one, but a disappointing moment happened in the last moments of the game. 3 minutes left. Tyreek Hill scored his 3rd touchdown of the game to tie things up at 40.
Yes.
And then he ran full speed into the wall and met some of Boston's finest, who delivered several middle fingers and threw some beer on him in his face.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, this made you very upset.
Well, look, I don't think that it's uncommon. I don't think it's exclusive to Boston. I don't think that it's something that players aren't used to.
But now he's done.
So this guy, I said that this guy should be banned, which he of course should be, and the Patriots did. Gillette Stadium security has identified the fan who violated the fan code of conduct by tossing a beer onto a player during the game last night. The matter has been turned over to local law enforcement, and the fan will be sent a letter of disinvite to all future events at Gillette Stadium. So the fan did get banned for throwing.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. My only thing is I don't want to overreact and go crazy because I do think players are used to it. But if you listen, there is no room for throwing anything on anybody at an event. There's no room for that. Now, I think liquid is gotten to a point in the NFL, first 2 rows, you're going to get it. But I have no problem them kicking them out. But I do think players now are just used to this crap.
I don't think that it's something to overreact to because it's something that happens a lot. I just don't want to normalize it either. Like, just because you spend money to go watch a sporting event doesn't mean that you in any way get to cross over the line and participate in it. And by that, I mean throwing beer at someone. Like, I don't care if you flip the middle finger or yell at someone. Like, that's going to happen.
How about no throwing anything?
How about just don't throw things? And like I said before, this is a group of people who have never had hands put on them before because the behavior is just so outrageous. You know, you're so fearless. There's no way you've ever been met with any
Here's what I always think.
Adversity.
Whenever I see bad behavior from a 20-year-old, I think to myself, who are their parents? Like, my daughter would be like, wouldn't do that in a million years.
Like I said, never had hands on them before.
Or just crappy parents. Like, who goes to an event?
Someone who is ridiculously entitled. Because if you feel like because you pay money to go to a sporting event that you then have a right to assault the person who you have paid for their entertainment. And you are paying for both teams, obviously.
People with a lower IQ have worse judgment. That's just dumb people. Like, who would go to an event and throw things at people? You just can't be that smart. At some point, you're just not a very smart person.
Well, he's no longer going to be there to have the opportunity to do it again, which is just the right thing to do.
Brutal. Joy-breaking story there. Joy Taylor with the news. Let's bring on...
That's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
Second most catches in NFL history, Tony Gonzalez. I want to hear stories about this.
Hey, Joy. How are you?
Now, Kansas City's the middle of the country, so people are very nice. Kansas City's got nothing.